Yay! Let's see, because it always takes a second for the Twitch video to load. So I don't know. There it is. It's loading, so we should be up.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Do, 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 do.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you
What's
guys?
up, chat room? Hopefully they can hear us.
Mm-hmm.
Can you
Wow,
hear
my
us?
video quality is so poopy. I wish I was in my studio right now. We should be up.
No one said anything since we talked. Oh, there we
Yep,
go.
it's just
Hey,
a
how's it
stream
going?
delay, but and
Oh, Dave, do you have your Twitch sound on?
You want it to Twitch on
Oh,
or?
off, because I can
Oh
hear
yeah, I
it.
was gonna say yeah.
it's
I've
just
got
like
it off
stream
now. I think should be.
delay, but yeah.
Uh-oh, Rem disappeared.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh,
Crossing our fingers.
Dave, do you have your Twitch
methinks
sound on?
I disconnected
Yeah,
or
that's what it's showing me.
did or someone disconnected. I apologize. I jacked it up. Oh no, the video is all jacked up. I apologize. I'm so sorry. It's that good old Tennessee internet. Shut up, Cage. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, there we go. You should be able to fix it now.
There you are.
Yeah, it should auto adjust once you
I'm
come
so
back.
sorry.
Okay, so how is everybody doing tonight?
Yeah, chat room. How's the chat room doing tonight? Adam, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Tired, but
And
I'm good to go.
did you have a good watching the BlizzCon stream weekend?
Oh, it was excellent.
Yeah?
I spent more time playing board games during it live and watched most of it afterwards. So it was kind of crazy.
What about you, David? How did you enjoy? Did you watch the BlizzCon stream and all that?
Yeah, I had the virtual ticket, and so I honestly I was cheating a little bit and watching it at work, and then when I got home, caught up on everything that I wanted to see. And then Saturday, I had a baby shower that I had to go to for a friend,
Oh.
and but honestly, I was lucky because that was just during the movie panel, which I don't think I missed a whole lot. So
No, you didn't miss anything at all.
Dang pregnant chicks ruining your BlizzCon experience.
There's a lot of them lately, I feel like.
It's something in the water or something like that.
It's worse than the zombie plague.
Uh,
Except for my child, obviously. The one that I just had.
it's a disease. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like,
no, I'm seeing it too. So many of my friends right now, so it's like baby shower every week.
Right?
Hmm.
Yeah, when I had my youngest, I felt like everybody I knew was having babies, like all over the place. And yeah, it's crazy. It's like happens like that when you or someone you know, like your spouse or your sister or something like that, whenever they're having a child, that's all you notice is just everyone around you is having kids. It's crazy. But it's also like our generation, our ages, most of us are in our like late 20s, early 30s. So this is the time that people have kids.
mhm.
Kind of normal.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
random conversation.
I was going to add one more thing before we go live is that I have a gaming group. I've talked about D&D before. We have 6 people who play. 5 of us will have kids within a year of each other, and they're going to be their own gaming group right next door to us.
Nice.
Like they'll be like their little table with their dice and be like, I rolled a 20.
+5 fortitude. No. You get 10% to your saving throws.
Still make use encumbrance.
They better not
Yes.
run percentages. That could be a problem.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get ready to start the show. We all set?
We are. I
Good.
am.
We good, chat room? You guys ready? And then 10 seconds later, I'll see if they're ready.
I wish I wasn't on such crap internet. Sorry.
Oh, I love my tweet. We are live. Come have fun with us.
All things that do not rise up to my standard are made of crap.
Just making sure I have everything final and ready. Oh, wait, you know what I don't have? I should have had this. I don't even know what. Real quick, Rem, and they'll all hear this. How do you want to be introduced? I don't have your introduction.
However you want to introduce me, boss.
You're making me think. I have done too much of that.
I don't know. I'm not just this is Remedy. I don't know. Whatever.
We'll come with fancy ones later. First, we'll be very basic. Okay, so if you guys want to go ahead and in 3 hit record. So 3. Sorry, on 1. So 3. 2.
Wait.
Oop.
Okay. Sorry.
So
I'm ready now. I'm ready now. I'm ready now.
When I say the number 1, hit record.
Okay.
So 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Nexus Episode 1, the podcast for all things Heroes of the Storm. I'm your host, Adam Eastwood, and today we're going to hit news from this past week at BlizzCon, our views, and we'll talk to one of our co-hosts who actually got her hands on the game. So we'll bring her in right away. Her name is Remedies.
Hello, everyone. That's me. I'm Remedies.
And another member of the Blizzmaster Network, David Troy.
Hi, Adam. Hi, Rem. Hi, chat room. Hi, everybody listening. Just want to say I'm thrilled to be here on the inaugural Nexus podcast.
Yeah.
Yes. So we'll start off with a quick question for actually all of us, just so everyone kind of get to know us. What is your experience with MOBAs and Blizzard properties in general, Rem?
So I played League of Legends for a really long time. I probably played it. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I don't even have a time frame. I just know that was a point in my life where it was the only video game I played. And it kind of fell apart for me when I didn't have friends who played it anymore. And League of Legends is one of those games where it's not really fun unless you had 4 other people to play with. But anywho, so I played League of Legends. I played the Dota before Valve owned it, so I'm talking Warcraft 3 Dota. So yeah, I love MOBAs. I've loved MOBAs since the Warcraft 3 Dota, and it's probably my second favorite type of game next to MMOs.
Mm-hmm. And how about you, David? What type of MOBA experience, Blizzard experience do you have?
Well, in terms of Blizzard experience, I've been playing WoW essentially since Burning Crusade. So I've got quite a bit of experience in WoW, mainly on the PvE side. I've dabbled in some other games, outside of WoW, but always come back to WoW for the community and just for the quality of the game itself. In terms of MOBAs, really no experience whatsoever. My first experience with a MOBA was waiting to see the Warlords of Draenor trailer, and then seeing the trailer for Heroes of the Storm, getting really pumped, really interested. So whatever they had planned worked pretty good, because they certainly got me on board.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to let everyone know the reason we have Dave with us here is he's going to kind of bring a different perspective than me and Rem have. Me and Rem, like Rem said, she's been playing MOBAs for a while. It's one of her favorites. I've played since Warcraft 3. I played the original Dota and played a lot of League of Legends. When I had to take a break from WoW due to having broken a hand, and that's where I got into it a lot. But Dave kind of brings in that fresh perspective that the two of us really don't have, and he'll be able to ask us questions to kind of help anybody out there who doesn't, they don't know the answers to the questions. So, like
That's
I said,
right.
yeah. And I've been playing.
I'm the honorary noob.
Yeah, the
The
honorary noob.
honorary noob.
But hopefully, along with the listeners, Dave will learn and we can really build a good Heroes of the Storm community, not just the podcast. So we're gonna
That's right.
go and jump right into the news. So I think the biggest news is that we got into the portion of the, development where the beta is. We can opt in now. Rem, when do you think the beta is gonna come out?
Oh boy. Judging by the fact that at BlizzCon the only thing that we could demo was one map. Now I don't know if that was intentional or that's literally all they have actually fully blown made for us right now. I'm gonna go ahead and estimate that the beta will probably get the beta, oh gosh, February or March, and that the beta will probably last about 3 to 4 months. So with the game releasing in, I can't do math here, February, March, April, May, June. So like early to midsummer, I think we'll get like full release. That's my yeah, my yes
Your
thing.
expert opinion?
Yeah, no, not my expert, my prediction,
Your
if you
prediction.
will. So yeah, there we go.
Any prediction from you, David?
I think just from the fact that they pushed it as hard as they did at this BlizzCon, which was less than they had in those past. I think they're close. I'd probably go along with Rem in terms of a spring beta, and then from there, I know they're pretty conservative at Blizzard, so I'm going to say you're probably going to see the game launched about 6 months after that. So I'm thinking possibly even a little bit later, but again, that's just more based on the natural conservatism of the Blizzard devs.
Mm-hmm. See, for me, just based on what other games we're expecting out of Blizzard next year, I think they're going to push it towards the end of the year. Probably end of third quarter time. Because we're going to get somewhere. I say March, April, we're going to see Reaper of Souls is going to come out. I say June, July, we get Warlords of Draenor, and I don't think they want to compete with themselves. I mean, they've historically not released games so close to each other.
About that, really quick. So when I was at BlizzCon, we got invited to do a press conference fan site type thing with some of the developers, like Corey Stockton, I believe was there, Greg Street. Maybe Corey Stockton wasn't there. I don't know. There was a bunch of them. And they actually said that they don't even take into account when they're releasing other games, when they pick dates, for example, like World of Warcraft. None of that is engineered by them because every department is completely separate. So in my opinion, I don't think that them releasing this expansion for this game and that expansion for that game is going to have anything to do with when Heroes of the Storm comes out. So essentially, we could see Warlords of Draenor and Heroes of the Storm in the same month. I mean, it probably won't happen, but it's still a possibility.
For my peace of mind and the and for the health of my marriage, I really don't want them both coming out at the same time.
Me either. Because I want to play them both. So there needs to be like cushion time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think also a lot of people in my WoW guild are going to be very angry with me if they do come out too close, because I think I'm going to play a lot more Heroes of the Storm when it comes out.
Me too.
Because it's new and
Yes.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I mean, I agree. I'd really like it if they did space it out a little bit. I'm pretty, especially when an expansion comes out for WoW, I'm a pretty slow leveler. I want to really absorb all the lore and everything like that when I go through it. So I really don't want that to be competing with jumping in and playing Heroes of the Storm at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And for me, even a release date close to Reaper of Souls, that's going to kill me because I'm a big Diablo nut as well. So I want them spread out. I like it how Blizzard used to have it every other year or so they put out a game, and now they're just knocking them out of the park. Next, we're going to kind of move on real quick. We're going to talk to Rem about her specific experience with Heroes of the Storm at BlizzCon this past weekend.
Oh my God, Heroes of the Storm is awesome. Yeah, so we tried it out. I was with some guys from our guild and our website. Well, I was with Cage from Blizzmaster and Press Y podcast, and then we were with Belschnickel from the Converted podcast, and then he was with a friend who isn't on a podcast, but I believe he is in our guild. He plays a character named Zorjin. I don't know, I can't pronounce his character's name, but his real name is Zach. So, anyways, we went and played Heroes of the Storm together. And it was super cool. Like I said, the demo only had one playable map. I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the map, but it was kind of a standard, slightly city type urban kind of map. And all of the heroes were playable. You could pick whatever hero you want. I played Uther, the paladin, who...
Surprise, surprise.
Yes, I have a thing for paladins. I love paladin. Yeah. Anyways, any game I play, like I played Final Fantasy 14 for a little while. Played Gladiator, I think it is, so that I could be a paladin later. Anyways, I digress. So I played Uther, and I guess he's kind of supposed to be a support class in the game. But one thing I noticed when my team was leveling up and I got to pick my talents and stuff, I'm sure we're going to talk about that, if not tonight, as the show progresses, we'll talk about all the mechanics of how the game works. But the talents that I picked, I noticed that some of them were kind of support-y type talents, and then some were totally, in my opinion, like tanky talents, like extra health and like invulnerabilities and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, even though they have certain heroes set to be these specific roles, I think that some of them are kind of both. Because like in League of Legends, there are certain characters that are like AD, carry, and all of these terms that we're going to explain, but they can also play other roles like support and tank and jungling and even. And yes, so I'm trying not to be too highly technical right here with the terms like right off the bat, but we'll explain, I promise. So, but yes, it was great. The graphics were amazing. Getting into it, the way it was just really easy to pick up. It didn't take me very long, and even though I have played MOBAs before, I think for people who have never played them, it's fairly easy. The controls are very easy. The UI is incredibly easy to understand. It tells you this button does that. It's really, really streamlined, and I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good to hear that all the buttons were in there. I think I also overheard that isn't a full UI that they're going to be putting out, that there's still more tweaks to the UI to help with the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to get my hands on it as soon as possible so we can play together, the three of us. We'll teach David a little, about, like you said, carrying and all the terms, but we will go into those as needed during the show. David, from the gameplay trailers and all that, what do you pick up anything that you enjoyed most about just watching it?
Well, I mean, from what I saw, it really did seem like a very dynamic type of gameplay. When I thought of MOBAs originally, I kind of thought it was really just this type of really pretty similar to just PvP and WoW. So you're just kind of running around, capturing points, maybe capture the flag and that kind of thing. For this, they're showing people turning into Dragon Knights. They're showing gameplay where you're splitting up, you're causing golems to come out, and then you're trying to deal with those type of golems. I thought that was what really kind of blew me away. They did show, and I know we're going to get into this a little bit later, I think when they showed the Abathur gameplay, that really, really jumped out at me as something I have not seen before in any type of game. And it's always been the kind of thing I've wanted to play in any type of game. It's kind of someone who's just a little outside what's going on in the battle itself, and kind of the puppet master character a little bit.
The cool thing about Abathur is, like, even the developers said that he's going to be that class that, even for people who are experienced with MOBAs, he's going to be that class that is incredibly hard to master, which is great, because I think that a game like this, when I play games like this, I like to play competitively and as cutting edge as possible, and I want to see classes like that, classes that that people, yeah, you can pick it up and play it, but if you really, really want to play it well, you're gonna have to, actually try and actually learn the mechanics of that character, if you will.
And in terms of Abathur, which we're going to go in this anyways, that's the character I want to play the most because I like playing the characters that aren't really straightforward in any game I've played. Unfortunately, WoW doesn't really have that. Most classes are straightforward, but say playing Dungeons and Dragons and anything like that, I like the kind of offbeat characters. There's Abathur. It really feels like looking at his heroic ability is you're going to have to not only know how your character plays, but you have to know how your teammates play. So he's definitely a team player, and you don't want to go into random games with him because you might end up with if I'm not a fan of Uther, I don't know how he runs. If I take over and become a clone of him, I'm going to be hurting my team in the long run.
Right.
So I think that's a neat way of looking at the game is having those characters that if you don't play well enough, you're going to hurt your team unless you really practice.
Right.
Now, Sing from Home, me and David, we really got to look into the game through the panels. I think that's one of the bonuses for us is we can sit and watch all the panels while you're running around playing games.
Yeah.
And you get a real good internal look of the game itself. They go over, what they were thinking of when not only creating heroes, but, when they were making the game and turning it from a StarCraft 2 mod into really its own standalone game. And I think bringing up their core focuses is one of the main things we want to talk about today and how that's going to affect heroes opposed to compared to League of Legends. So one of their core focuses many Blizzard heroes. Their universe is rich with heroes with a lore, characters from all franchises are going to be brought into it. That is something that really has me interested in playing. The next one is they really want to make sure that it's fun with friends. There's a reason to play with your friends at all times, and Blizzard's really pushed that throughout BlizzCon through all their games. Is if you're playing with friends, then you're doing it right.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I was wondering about that too, because they're talking about even increasing experience when you're playing with your friends versus not. Do you think this is something where Blizzard's? I only know this from the outside. I haven't actually participated. But MOBAs do have somewhat of a reputation for being harsh on new players, and giving them a lot of grief for lack of a better word. Do you think this is something? This is a way that Blizzard's going to try and combat that right out of the gate by really encouraging you to play with your friends rather than just jumping into random groups.
I think so. I mean, that's kind of like Blizzard's MO for everything that they do. They've always, I mean, in recent years anyways, they've really, really driven home play with your friends, and they put all of these systems in all of their games. For example, World of Warcraft, battle tag friends, add people to your friends list, grouping, even if your friends play on different servers, just the Blizzard, in my opinion, I think that they are very gung-ho about playing with people even if you don't necessarily know them in real life, or you do, family, friends, people you met online, it doesn't matter. As long as you're playing with somebody that you are interacting with, it's not just some random stranger on the other side of a computer screen. So, I think
because
so.
you've really seen in World of Warcraft, you've really seen them move away, at least try to move away from random groups. Originally there was no dungeon finder, they put in the dungeon finder. There was no looking for raid, they put in looking for raid. And then you see them they really changed their direction just a couple of patches ago with the heroic scenarios, where they're kind of coming back and saying, we don't want you just to be, randomly grouping up with people. We want you to go out, find a group of friends, and tackle, these scenarios with people that you know. And I just, especially with the rep that some MOBAs have, that was the impression that I got, is that at least, for your initial jump in, they're really trying to encourage you to play with people that you're comfortable with.
And I know one thing that has kind of confused a few people that I've talked to that haven't played a MOBA before is when they're talking about XP, there's really two XPs that you're looking at. You're looking at in-game experience, where you're leveling 1 to, I think it's 20, and you gain your abilities as you're leveling. And then you're looking at external XP, where that's where you're going to be able to customize your character. In games like League of Legends, you get not stat points, skill points. You also get the ability to put runes on your character to improve different things. With Blizzard, it looks like they're more going for a talent orientated system, where very similar to World of Warcraft, the choices you make are quick and impacting. They're not like, oh, you get 1% more crit when you hit max level.
Right.
And then, so that experience they're talking about is that external XP. So it won't actually affect the game you're playing right now, but it can affect how fast you're getting to the point where you can customize your character more. And that's, main reason you want to play with your friends is you can customize your character, make sure you have a team that's going to work well together against whatever opponents can come up.
That's right.
And with that, we can really move into the differences between Heroes of the Storm and the rest of them, what was out there. Team leveling. Rem, what are your feelings on team leveling and being able to actually play it?
I love it because if you look at League of Legends, and here's the biggest difference. When you play League of Legends, if you're like me and you tend to play support classes, and you have your team of 4 other people, and you have your jungler and all of the people who are killing people, and you're the support guy, you don't really get a lot of finishing blows. And finishing blows are really what help you level your character up because you get the most experience for those finishing blows. And so you would have to, you're in Skype with your team and you're like, hey, dude, save that guy. Like, don't kill him yet. I'm on my way. And then allow your support people to get that finishing blow so that your support guy or girl gets their experience that they need to be on par with the rest of their team. So in Heroes of the Storm, that's not going to happen. You're not going to have to be like, come on, support guy, get your up here so that you can get your hits on this person that I've literally whittled down for you, so that you can get your experience and be on par with the rest of your team. We all level together, so it doesn't matter. Your players who are doing the damage are doing the damage. Your tank is doing the tanking. I really doubt that there's going to be jungling in Heroes of the Storm, but that's neither here nor there. Your support people are going to be actually doing support jobs, and you don't have to coordinate and waste time on making sure that they get those finishing blows to get experience. So everybody is going to be able to do their job, and that's it, and really focus on doing their jobs.
What it's also going to bring is a more competitive game, I think, because the assassins, the warriors are going to be able to just kind of go all out and try to kill the enemy, opposed to, like you said, stepping back and get the support character in a kill. And then in an early game, as a support character, you're supposed to make sure you're not getting the kills, so that it just adds this, like, the whole point of the game is to beat your enemy, but at the same time there's times you don't want to and sometimes you do it. I think it's a confusing mechanic, but especially for new players. Dave, do you think that's a kind of confusing for new players?
I think a little bit, yeah. I mean, even to talk a little bit about confusing, maybe if you could just elaborate when you're talking about jungling. That's a term that may be new to me and maybe some people listening in as well.
Okay. I can give you like a crash course. So in most MOBAs, how they work is you have lanes. There's top lane, mid lane, and bottom lane. And certain roles go to certain lanes. I won't go into absolute specifics here, but a jungler is a player who doesn't have an assigned lane. They pretty much go anywhere in the jungle areas between the lanes and try to snipe kills, try to get the other team, surprise attack, things like that, kind of like guerrilla warfare. So your jungler is the real down and dirty assassin kind of player, and they're just trying to snipe as many kills for your team as possible. And that's it in a nutshell. And some people will jungle differently, but that's kind of the gist of it.
And we'll go over that kind of more in depth because there's a little bit more, I think, to it. When you agree, Rem?
Yeah. I'm trying to
keep it on the quick and
simple. Basic here.
That's fine. That's okay. I'm okay with just the early kindergarten stuff at the moment.
Okay.
So now, so we talked kind of about the team leveling. The next step in their core concept, and the third and final one, is the battlegrounds are more than just maps. That they're a means to an end. They have personalities themselves, and playing from map to map really changes gameplay. This has got me really excited because I don't like the whole, everyone pick a lane, you fight in your lane for a little bit, and then once you get to a certain point in the game where you're high enough level, you push to the middle lane.
Hmm.
Now, what map objectives that were different in Blizzard's game that you would, I'm sorry, what are the differences in the current map you played in compared to say just a straightforward, Dota or League of Legends map run?
Well, okay, so just going off of memory, there's maps in League of Legends where there'll be like I'm trying to like simplify this, like a tower or something like that. And if you get to the tower, you get the buff or you get something special for your team or whatever. And if you, in easy speak, if you cap that tower, it's your team's tower. So, kind of like capture the flag and tower capping and stuff like that. You'll see a lot of that in most MOBAs. That's a typical objective kind of game. Um, but in Heroes of the Storm, they have some maps that have objectives that I would have never even like fathomed you could make into a MOBA game. Like there's one that they showed at the panel where you like collect treasure for a pirate. And so your team is trying to get the treasure and you're fighting the other team and trying to stop them from getting the treasure and so on and so forth. And then you bring all of this treasure to a pirate, and if you are successful in said task, you can convince this pirate to use this awesome ship with guns and cannons and kaboom against the other team, and just stuff like that, that to really turn the tide of war in in your team's favor. I think is just, yeah, it's kind of overpowered if your team is the team that is successful, but it's such an interesting mechanic to see objective based games like that in a MOBA, where traditionally we're just used to get the buffs for your team, kill the other team, win. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was actually something that I had a question about coming out of the virtual ticket, which was, I mean, the example that I saw was the one where one of your teammates, after you get a certain amount of objectives, one of your teammates can click on something and become, I think, a dragon knight, and you transform into this dragon knight. You stomp around like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and and to me, I guess my question: did they win at that point? Like, is that the point where the other team doesn't even really have a chance to come back? Because then it kind of defeats the purpose of these dynamic mechanics if you're still just capping points and then, essentially just
right.
getting like kind of a cut scene to winning.
Right. I mean, I would assume that at some point, okay, do you remember in early World of Warcraft in the battleground, I want to say Alterac Valley, where you could summon the big ol' ice elemental for your team? Does anybody remember that? So, from what I remember of that battleground, if you were successful in doing so, and this is back when the battlegrounds could go on for days, even. Um, if your team was successful in doing that, like you said, you've kind of already won. It's a point in that match where the other team doesn't really stand a chance anymore. However, I think that these things take so long to do that essentially, if you're on the, I guess, quote unquote, losing side of this, where you notice that the opposite team is going for these huge things, you can stop them and just kind of murder them before they are. So really, it's just a give and take of skill. If you notice the other team is going for the big guns instead of focusing on your teammates and taking out the actual players, and you see that hey, they're trying to get the ghost ship, let's stop them, then I think that that's going to affect gameplay. So it just really depends on you. It's like an RTS. You have to see what strategy the other team is going for, and attempt to combat that.
Yes, I think, and that's one of the things that's very interesting compared to League of Legends, where everyone kind of has the same strategy. Maybe they're going to do it a little differently, but if they specifically said, say you see the other team's closer to getting the Dragon Knight and become the Dragon Knight, you can try really doing hard pushes just to take over their base before that can happen. So it's going to add a little bit of varied gameplay in there. I think it'll make it more exciting to watch if it does kind of go into esport realm as
Oh
well.
God, I can't wait.
So the other thing we're going to be looking at too is that there's no in-game item purchases for Heroes of the Storm. For those of you who haven't played League of Legends, during the game, you're basically gathering gold. So every kill you get gold. Every last hit, you get gold. And this is why sometimes, as a support character like me and Rem have talked about, you don't have as much gold early game to get item enhancements for maybe movement speed, attack damage, mana regen. So Blizzard has basically said, hey, we are not going to have that in game at all. Everything is going to be outside of the game in terms of what could, work as these items and bonuses in their talent system. Do you think it'll work out well? Are you gonna miss being able to go to like a goblin to purchase some items, Rem?
Not at all. I won't miss it one bit. You spend so much, even when you play like a damaging character. Even when you play a character that is meant to be dealing damage, not a support character, you still spend a lot of time like, okay, now I have all this gold. I need to go back to the store, so I'm going to use my little portal and go back and pick up that awesome trinket thing, or whatever it is. It's going to give me attack power, or a speed boost, like you were saying. And so, like, I think it's good. I think it definitely signifies that the objective of the game is more about doing the objectives of the game and winning, and not so much making sure you're getting the gear. And like, the thing about League of Legends is that you only buy this stuff per match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not something you keep permanently. It's just for that match and that match alone. So I love it. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is probably more along your alley, David. The deep history of the character, I think, is a big difference between current MOBAs and Heroes of the Storm. What are your feelings about actually being able to play these characters that you've either played along, besides, maybe played as in some instances?
Well, I mean, that's the main appeal to me. I mean, when I saw that trailer, and Arthas is squaring off with Diablo against Jim Raynor, and a few other characters I didn't recognize. Serial I did, that was there. But, I mean, for me, it just, that entire concept of bringing together characters, I mean, you saw it a bit, but, just to go outside of gaming, you saw that with things like the Avengers movie. I remember some of the old, I mean, even to go way back, I can go back to, the old Godzilla movies where, you have all the monsters fighting each other and that type of thing. To be able to take these characters that I've really grown to love so much, and, hey, I love the Lich King. I mean, I probably shouldn't, but I like him. He's Darth Vader done right, as far as I'm concerned. It's these are characters that I've really grown attached to, and to actually see them squaring off, it's not only given me a chance to play as these characters. Which, remember, if you're a World of Warcraft player, I mean, if you're going back, I mean, you have to go back to the RTS games really to have been able to play these characters. Ever since World of Warcraft came out, I'm just, Joe Mage who happens to come along and hang out and watch the cutscene at the end of the raid, right? And to actually be able to step in and be Arthas, and step in and be Thrall, or, be Jim Raynor, or be Tyrael, it's a fun opportunity, and it's something that we haven't had in a long time. And I'm just really, really excited for that.
Totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
I get to be Uther, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Because, when they release a new hero in League of Legends, they do come up with like a backstory that goes with it. But you haven't lived that story ever. You're like, oh, he was part of this war that this other character was a thing. It feels like a lot of retconning with the characters just to make it feel like they have history, opposed to actually having that history within other games in the universe.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to go off on a tangent or anything like that, but I was thinking about this today too. Not counting Hearthstone, because it's not really an action game. This is kind of the first new game Blizzard's come out with since when? World of Warcraft, really? I mean, Diablo 3 is essentially Diablo.
Mm-hmm.
StarCraft is StarCraft, and
yeah.
It's kind of the first brand new game since 2004, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's like it's their first venture outside of the Well, I mean, I guess you could still say a MOBA is kind of an RPG, but I mean, it's just a field that they didn't really have much hand in.
Hmm.
And MOBAs are still kind of new, not counting mods for games. Like this is where MOBAs came from. They came from mods for RTS games.
Hmm.
So it as it stands alone, MOBA is a new market. And so it's good to see that Blizzard isn't afraid to branch out into markets that they don't have a hand in just yet.
And really, isn't that what Blizzard does best? They find a market that they're not a part of, make a game, and start to dominate that market.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
World of Warcraft,
World of Warcraft,
RTSs,
yeah, they didn't create
StarCraft,
RTSs.
Warcraft. Yeah, like
Not first person shooters.
that's what Blizzard needs.
Yeah, that's what they
You
need.
heard it here first. Blizzard needs a first-person shooter.
So,
Don't do it first. Do it right.
yes.
That's right.
Now, one that we've kind of talked about before is the ability to pick your talents, having alternate heroic abilities, which in other games are called their ultimates. Is that really adds a varying gameplay. One concern that I saw people have is, are you going to know which ultimate your opponent has prior to the start of the game? Do you think this is
That
something
would
that
be
needs
nice.
to be done, or do you think the fact that you don't know what it is adds a little more level of challenge?
I want to know. I mean, it's the same thing as pre-match like drafting, for lack of a better term, where you get to tell the other team that they can't use certain heroes and so on and so forth. And this is like competitive matches that I'm talking about. Like when a match starts, if it's my team, the rubber chicken team, or whatever, versus your team, the ultimate death quintuplet. I don't know. I want to know. I feel like that is something I need to know. It's the same thing as me saying, well, if we're going to use these heroes, I in MOBAs, in LOL anyways, when you are doing competitive matches, it's prior to starting the match, you have your hero selection screen. So your team is like, usually you want to be really good at two classes, not just one, but two, in case the other team is like, we don't want you guys selecting Ash, for example. And you happen to be that person on your team who's really good at Ash. But if the other team puts that red X on Ash and says that you guys can't use Ash, then you're screwed. So it's always, in LOL, it was always good to be really experienced in at least two heroes. So anyways, so what I'm getting at is we already had that in League of Legends. We already had the ability to tell the other team that they couldn't play certain heroes. So it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like we know what we want to do and we know what we don't want to happen. We don't want, because our team has this weakness, so we want to prevent them from using heroes that could exploit that weakness. And it's equally fielded because the other team gets to do the same thing as well. So I think in this, since there is that option of having a different ultimate, that I think that it needs to be something that we see up front before we go into team versus team matchups.
Now, David, I know you don't have a lot of experience with MOBAs, but what do you feel about that?
Well, for me, I mean, yeah, I have to admit, a lot of what Rem said, I'm not hands-on, so I don't know how it really
I'm
works.
so sorry.
No, that's fine because it's part of yeah, you got to jump in feet first and really
Yeah.
get it. But for me, the idea of not being allowed to play the hero that I want seems to go against everything that Blizzard's really all about. I mean, the whole
Yeah.
idea of bring the player, not the class. Which is something that they use in World of Warcraft a lot to make sure that you don't have to exclude people just because it doesn't fit into exactly what you're looking for in a raid or a dungeon. So I'm gonna be I don't know what I think about that if that's the way it's gonna be working in Heroes of the
Right,
Storm.
if they
Like
do.
if
Yeah.
yeah, like if I really want to be Arthas, that's who I want to be. And I think a lot of people, especially as they come into the game from a non-MOBA background, it's gonna be difficult for them. And also to the point of knowing whether exactly what talent the other person's using. this is where I guess I'd probably have to get my feet wet and get in and see how it would affect the game. Because for me, I think it would be kind of cool if I don't know if Arthas is going to be raising up an army of the dead or this dragon's going to be coming down on me. I think it would be a lot of fun for that to be a surprise, and really you're reacting on the battlefield and in the arena rather than planning it all out ahead of time.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
end, it could really be two different game modes, like knowing and not knowing. Just like you not being able to select a specific character is more high-end play. You don't see that. Like if I go play League of Legends right now, which I've been doing for the past week, kind of get back into the swing of things. They can't tell me, oh, I can't play Taric or Warwick, which are the only two characters that I know how to play. Honestly.
Yeah, and like now that you guys have kind of like done your, said your side of it, I was thinking, even if I'm in a match and let's say that Blizzard decides that we don't need to know prior to matchup, right? So we go into the match completely unknowing, but I know that they're playing Arthas, and I know that Arthas has these two options. Obviously, I'm gonna see him use them, and it's probably not gonna be so late in the game that I can't formulate how I'm gonna react to it. And but that's me, and I don't know. I just think that even if we don't know, it's just like World of Warcraft PvP. Once you realize what the other strategy, or an RTS, is exactly what I was saying earlier. Once you realize the strategy that they're going for and they're using, you will generally almost always have enough time to react to that. So it's kind of neither here nor there. So.
One other thing, one difference I really liked was when you defeat a neutral minion, they actually come and fight for you for a little bit. That seems like very interesting gameplay, and I'm sure that's probably based on the battleground. Some might not. Did you find that happened in your battleground that you played in, Rem?
Not that I noticed, no. Not that I can recall, but I only had like 20 minutes on the machine, and I was just like, oh, go, go, go. Like I'm trying to soak in as much as I can because this is the only time I had time to like really play it. So I didn't really notice any of that, like, minion copying or whatever you want to call that. I didn't notice it, but I did notice like the standard fare. The more your team wins, the better minions you have, and typical MOBA stuff. So a lot of it was very, very familiar mechanics for me.
Now, actually, now that you mentioned, you only got to play for about 20 minutes. Well, the other thing that they were aiming for is shorter games in this game rather than having really hour games, which I find the norm. We're going to hit 15 to 20 minute games. And I think all the differences that we've talked about so far kind of lead into this 15 to 20 minute game system.
I thought it was great. I felt like I sat down, I had my party all there, and we were ready to go. And it only took, I mean, granted, I was playing on a team of NPCs, mind you. At the demo, you could only play on a team with NPCs. So at that point, I already felt like I was kind of doing all the work, but because it was probably set to like super easy mode for all I know. But yeah, I kind of just went in and smashed face, and the match was over in like 15 minutes, and it felt great. It was very satisfying. I was like, yes, I just won this match, and like it was really epic and very, very satisfying. So.
Now,
Yes.
Dave, as a new player, do you feel like, I don't know if you knew ahead of time how long the matches lasted, but do you think the 15 to 20 minute game length makes it so you want to play more, give it a shot, or did you not know how long they normally lasted?
I mean, I didn't have really a definite idea in terms of how long they lasted, but for me, 15 to 20 is just about perfect. Because I don't want to be playing any game where we're having 3 minute matches or 5 minute matches. It's just, it makes it seem trivial, and it loses kind of the entire idea of the epic battle between heroes and everything like that. If you just go in and, for lack of a better word, zerg the other guy and then it's over. And anything longer than that, I don't know if I have the time commitment to sit there and explain to my wife that, okay, sorry, dinner's going to be 40 minutes late because, I'm stuck in this battle. That doesn't seem to be ending. So no, for me, 15 to 20, I think that's where a lot of the gaming industry is right now, is right around that time period. If you look even what they're aiming at in in Dungeons and World of Warcraft. I think that the gaming community is getting a little bit older, and we just don't have the ability to sit there and spend 3 hours in Alterac Valley or any of those battlegrounds. So I think it's the perfect line.
You know, what it also does is it makes it so if I come in and I sign on and I see Rem's playing, I know that within the next 10 to 15 minutes, she's going to probably be done with her game, so I don't mind sitting and waiting. I've waited for friends for 40, 45 minutes to get out of their game just to find out, even after talking to them, that then they had to go because something else came up. You know,
Right.
big things can change in an hour when it comes to gaming.
Yes.
The ability that we didn't mention was you can actually get mounts in Heroes of the Storm.
Oh my God, yes.
So that's helps speed it up because it's not like you have to run everywhere. You just jump on your mount and go. You know.
Yeah.
So you're excited about the mounts, I can tell, huh, Rem?
Yeah, because I had Uther on like this okay, it's gonna sound really girly, I apologize, but I'm gonna be a girl for a second. But I had a rainbow colored unicorn. Like it was the coolest, like why isn't this in World of Warcraft? It made me really mad. But I assume it comes from the whole rainbow level in Diablo. That's kind of what it was themed after. I don't know a lot about that because I only saw that level once and it was because my friend like zoned me there. But anyways, so yeah, it was like a rainbow unicorn and I'm here I am Uther and I'm wearing I think that I had the judgment skin. So it's like badass Uther. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that as a bad word. I apologize. It was really awesome Uther in in judgment skin and riding on a rainbow unicorn and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. So yeah, I love it. I love it. I hope they add all kinds of mounts, like everything that you can think of. I want the bird mounts that blood elves ride around on, and oh, I could talk about that all day long.
Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about the mounts later on. What we're going
Oh,
to
I'm
kind of
sure.
move on to now is our hero spotlight. Now, normally we're going to use this time to talk about one specific hero, but I think before we can really get into the individual heroes, we need to kind of go over the basics of what the hero is, what they do, what's the difference between some of them. I think this is one thing that David's going to really shine in is we're going to not only talk about the gameplay of every hero, but we're going to go into a lore. And those of you who know David, he does was it the altar time?
Alter time
Yeah,
column, that's right.
an alter time column. So he really is in depth in at least World of Warcraft lore, and I think we're going to get him caught up on and more Diablo lore and Starcraft lore as we can. So that way, he can
Yeah.
bring his expertise into this section. So that way, it's not just you need to use this ability. It's a little more exciting for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, like I said, we're going to give an overview. Blizzard did talk about their design philosophy of how they're going to be building the heroes. One of the major abilities is what is the fantasy behind this hero, and that's when they pick a hero. That's what they're going to kind of start with. Rem, what does that really mean?
Um, Pass for now.
Pass for now, Dave.
You do your spiel.
What's the fantasy behind the hero?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends if you're talking about Nova or Diablo or whoever. To me, it's like it's putting yourself in their shoes. It's getting yourself in the head of that hero. If you're playing Kerrigan, you're again, I haven't seen the game up close, but I assume you're slashing around and acting like an assassin. Queen of Blade. You're in that mindset, and you can basically play the game going after some of the other players, but you're really putting yourself in that mindset, and that's also going to help you play as well because you know that she's not going to stand there and take damage and just take it, and whereas Arthas, the guy's in a big suit of armor, he's very imposing, he's going to be able to do that. So I think getting the fantasy, getting the lore behind the hero, I think it really enhances the gameplay.
So it's like WWKD. What would Kerrigan do?
Exactly.
You know, to
I'm
really.
glad I passed on that because David, I think, just put it in probably the best words that I think anybody could.
Mhm.
So,
Yes, and like you said, it's having those powers in that character that make you feel like you're that character and not just another person who does the same thing.
Well, it
Right.
makes sense too. Like, I mean, when you're sitting there, I think one of our correct me, but one of our Arthurs, and I'm sorry, I'm again, you can see how much I love Arthurs because I keep bringing him up. I think one of his powers is to bring Sindragosa, isn't it? To come and
Yeah.
attack the player. And if you know the whole story behind that, and you know how that works, and you know it even goes back, I think, to the Wrath of the Lich King trailer. I mean, that's a cool moment. Like that.
Mhm.
That's really like out of a very cinematic moment that you're able to bring into this game. Where again, I don't have experience with other MOBAs, but I can't imagine having a cinematic moment like that in another
Hmm.
game.
And
I
that's what
agree.
also makes the characters unique, which was another philosophy behind there's every character having a unique feel to them,
Hmm.
so that way you're not having clones on the battlefield.
Right. Yeah, and they're really bringing like the essence of these characters into the game, you know.
Oh, definitely. And you're going to be looking at the other design philosophy is who is the hero for? A beginner, like Jim Raynor? He's supposed to be like the basic player that everyone gets to start at the beginning? Or are they going to be more an expert, like we talked about Abathur before? The fact that they're really looking into that to really separate the heroes in that direction, makes me excited for the new players that they'll know who they can play out of the box.
Hmm.
They won't try to pick somebody up that might be a little too much just to start with.
Now, I'll say
Right.
one thing: the way I generally play games is probably the opposite of the way that they want me to. Like, I will usually jump in. Like, if I had no idea what I was doing and I saw the listing, I would probably go for Illidan because I figure, okay, why am I going to waste time learning all these other characters? If this guy is the top guy, I want to play him, and I'm going to struggle through it.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I did with World of Warcraft. I wanted to. I found out, tried to find out what the hardest. I mean, just to put it in perspective, how it had ended up, I play an arcane mage. So obviously, I ended up kind of going the other way in terms of difficulty level. But I think it is a really good idea to be able to tell players that this is a good guy to start with. This is pretty simple gameplay. I know they did really kind of highlight Illidan as being, I think, very difficult. They had him listed down
Yep.
as. So I think that again, I think they're building the game to not just have people switch over from League of Legends. They're building the game to have people who've never played a MOBA before play it.
I
Hmm.
agree.
And then finally, what's the hero's role in the battlefield? And this is where we get to really go into the types of heroes. Rem, what is an assassin?
Your typical, see, and in this game, okay, actually, no, I'll stop. They are your typical damage dealing characters, and that's it in a nutshell.
Low hit points, high damage,
Yep.
and I think what you might have been going into, which I'll mention real quick, is they really don't separate them into ranged,
Yes, exactly.
melee, and spellcaster, like a lot of games do. And I
Yes.
kind of like that because in the long run, it doesn't matter what they do in those terms. You're gonna know actually just by the character, if you know about characters, if they're gonna stand back and deal damage or get up close. You're gonna know
Mhm.
that if Ronan, the mage, he's gonna be out in the back firing stuff,
Mhm.
unless he's on top of his T-Rex. Then he'll get into damage.
Right. But I have this one argument to that. It's the name of calling this group of this type of heroes assassin. Like anybody who plays RPGs in general, or MMOs, or even tabletop uh, RPG type games, when I hear the word assassin, I think of melee DPS and that's it. I don't think of mages, wizards, warlocks, any of that type. I don't think of ranged anything. When I hear the word assassin, it makes me think of a melee damage dealer,
Hmm.
swords and knives and daggers and all of that. So I that's the only reason I don't like that they're calling it this.
Hmm.
And I wish they would have come up with a more general, encompassing kind of name. But it doesn't matter because once people start playing this, it's gonna be the term that we're all used to, and there's that. But I'm afraid that for when new people or new players come into it, they're gonna be like, "Oh, assassin, cool. So I'm gonna be kind of like a rogue or something like that." And I'm afraid that there's gonna be that misconception there.
Yeah, and I think it depends on what genre they're coming from. I think somebody coming from fantasy 100% thinks that way.
Hmm.
I think, however, if you look at more maybe sci-fi modern games, you'd picture someone with like a sniper rifle. It would be an assassin.
That's true. Good
You
point.
know,
Very
so
valid
I
point.
think it matters by what in like you said, you're D&D fantasy related. Where Nova, I would consider her like an assassin.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but
All
valid
right.
points, I think, all along. We're gonna keep moving. We have the Warriors, kind of like Diablo. They're kind of, I would say that they're a little bit like the tanks, but would also be able to do equal damage to survival. They don't really have a specific tank archetype. However, I think you might be able to build your class in that direction. Would you think that's right, Rem?
Yeah, I would think it's right. They're meant to be the more threatening type of character, which makes them kind of tanks. You see Diablo charging at you, then you're gonna want to call over a few teammates to help with him. And in essence, that's what a tank is supposed to do. They're supposed to be huge and threatening and draw the players. And there you go. Diablo is doing his job. They're drawing these players to attack him. And that's when your damaged players swoop in for kills and stuff like that. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the funny thing when I was looking at the names and the descriptions of them. Not to bring in a non-Blizzard game, but it really reminded me of the terminology that they used in Star Wars: Old Republic, and that was when they were talking about the Sith players, and they had the Sith warrior, Sith assassin, and Sith warrior was your lumbering Darth Vader type, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Sith assassin was your like very quick in and out like Darth Maul type.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not
Mm-hmm.
to bring up Phantom Menace, but it's still an iconic character. And that was the first thing that really jumped out at me is that the assassin is going to be in out. It may not be ranged. It may be melee, but it's gonna move fast. It's gonna hit hard. It's gonna get out of there. Whereas the warrior is going to be more of a slow grind, even if it's a damage dealer. Like it's going to be in the middle of it, and it's going to be able to take the damage, but it's going to take you down
Mm-hmm.
as well.
That's right.
Yep.
And that's pretty much how it's gonna work.
So, David, the next one we're going to kind of over is support. If you want to explain to everybody what a support character really is, I know we've talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, a support carrier, it's someone. I think the example that you gave Adam was Malfurion. Someone who's going to be able to buff, heal. I guess Uther Rem would be an
Hmm.
example of a support character.
Hmm.
And someone who's basically there. They're not, necessarily taking damage or dealing it out, but they're the ones that are helping everybody else out and helping move things along. I mean, in World of Warcraft, the analogy would be the healer class. And I think some of the support classes that are mentioned, I think one of them was the witch doctor from Diablo. Is that correct?
Hmm. I think
Is
so,
that a
yeah.
support class?
I
Yeah.
think I mean, I'm not correct. I think she was listed as a specialist, which actually is the next one
Oh,
we're
Okay.
going to be
okay.
going
Oh.
into. That was my big thing is the support and specialist, in my head, very similar.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like,
I
it,
still can.
yeah, it's hard to wrap your mind what around the differences. I
Hmm.
think the only thing that I think with the specialist is they might go about doing it a different way. Like Abathur, your normal support character would still be within range at
Hmm.
all times, where Abathur, being a specialist, is going to be far off and
Right.
kind of doing things non-traditionally. Like
Hmm.
basically everything else could be considered a specialist.
Yeah. And I kind of chalk it up to if you play World of Warcraft, right? We have this class called Priest, and one of their specs is Discipline. And Discipline is one of those weird specs where traditionally and technically, yes, it is a healing spec. However, they're one of the very few healers that can actually output a significant amount of DPS in comparison to other healing classes. So, in my head, a Discipline Priest is a damage dealer and a healer because I have seen some people play Discipline Priest and just do amazing heals and amazing DPS, considering the fact that they're healers. And so that's kind of what I relate a specialist to. They're kind of like a hybrid of different mechanics of gameplay.
Hmm.
So it's me coming from playing League of Legends and then way back in the day, the original Dota for Warcraft 3. It's something I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around, trying
Almost
to
hybrids.
understand it. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to kind of our final segment that we'll be having. Every week we're going to talk about at least one topic for the new players out there. today's topic is feeder. The main reason I want to talk about this one is I think this is something that people get called in League of Legends. That one, you don't know what it means, and then two, you don't know how to stop doing it. And it made me think of this specifically when I was listening to Realm Maintenance with Roe, and he was talking to Coltrane, who said, he really want to get into it, but he's kind of nervous about people yelling at him and being mad at him for doing something he doesn't know is wrong. So Rem, what exactly would you consider a feeder?
A feeder is somebody who dies a lot.
Okay.
So you are a feeder on your team if you're dying all the time and you're feeding the other team experience. So it is a negative. It has a negative connotation, and your teammates will, hey, stop being such a feeder, because you're feeding the other team points and kills and experience and whatever. So it is a very negative, like a slur, if you will, towards people who aren't necessarily, they haven't learned how to play very well.
Yes, and I think the first thing that people go in there, like, I'm going to go in there and I'm gonna fight the other hero. And MOBAs, classically, you don't get a lot of direct confrontation early on. You're killing minions. If you can, what they call, I'm going to use another term, snipe, kill someone quick when you have the chance, enemy hero, you'll do that. But what'll happen sometimes, especially as a new player, is you'll go directly after the enemy hero. They'll kill you once, and then they'll start leveling up and actually out-level you, because now you're going in trying to make up for being like, oh, now I have to kill him, now I have to kill him. And you're constantly giving him levels, which is actually counterproductive.
Yes.
Now, in order to kind of not be a feeder, one, you have to know that, that's not really how you have to play the game. You little more, if I'm about to die, you kind of run away and just try to
always
live.
run away.
So that's one big thing. Any other, tricks to not being a feeder? Rem?
I have tons. Always, don't ever be without minions. So how a MOBA works is minions come out of your starting point at random intervals and in set amounts. Well, not random intervals. It's probably a set interval, but I just say random because it feels random. So like I'm just throwing this out there, but like every 10 to 15 seconds, you're going to get like 6 little minions that come out of your start point. So you want to walk with those minions down the lanes or to the area that you want to go. And you always generally want to be behind the minions. So you want to let the minions go first and engage in combat and stuff, and then jump into combat. If all of your minions die and the next wave of minions hasn't come to join you in battle and you're starting to take critical damage, run away. Like, it is much better to fall back, is what I would call it, falling back. It's so much better to fall back than to die on the battlefield. So you would fall back and wait for the next set of minions, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And that's generally the better way to play a MOBA, is always have, never be without minions, ever. Like, in my opinion, that's probably the worst thing to do in a MOBA, is to be without minions.
And that being said, people who might find that someone is feeding, I think we really need to push out to the community that if you're going to call someone a feeder, explain to them what they're doing wrong. Because if you never explain what they're doing wrong, they can never get better.
I agree.
David, knowing, kind of learning the topic, and does it make sense to you? Do you think maybe we need to explain a little bit more?
No, I think that makes it pretty clear. I mean, I guess if you're coming from World of Warcraft, look, there's no enraged timer on the other team, right? You don't have to go there. You don't have to just deal damage the entire time. There's no cowardice in running away. And and like, if I understood you correctly, Rem, make sure you're surrounding yourself with your cannon fodder minions.
Yes.
Basically, let them take it, and then live to survive another day. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Again, putting it into practice, probably a little bit more difficult, but the concept of it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to questions. Every week we're going to hopefully get in some questions from people. We're only going to answer one question this week because we've actually gone a little bit longer than I expected.
So sorry.
No, that's perfectly okay. I'm glad that we had a lot to talk about. So the question's from Chris. He's actually one of us Blizzmaster people, so I'll throw it out there for him. His question was, will this game make an impact on the esports scene, since Blizzard only really has one true esport game right now, that being StarCraft 2? Rem, you're a big esport person. What do you think?
First of all, I don't think that Blizzard only has one big quote unquote esport game because World of Warcraft PvP counts as an esport. And based on the BlizzCon adventure with Hearthstone and some communities that I'm involved with, like Mana Grind, that I totally think that Hearthstone is an esport. It's just not, televised and huge and whatever, but it's still an esport regardless of his usage of what Blizzard games count as esports. I think that this is great, that this gives Blizzard another game for us to have tournaments about and for us to have competitions and teams and ladders and ranked and I love this stuff. Are you kidding me? Like, I am so just a nerd over esports. It's not even funny. So I'm really, really excited that I think Heroes of the Storm is going to be, you can quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be way bigger and way better than League of Legends, and I'm excited to see how this develops, and it will be an esport. It will be.
David, what do you think about that? Are you an esports fan?
I honestly, I've gotten a chance to watch a little bit. I haven't really delved too deep into it. I mean, one thing I know with Blizzard is, when Blizzard sneezes, everybody catches a cold, and they're big enough that if they're jumping into the scene, it's going to make an impact. I mean, I know there's already very big established competitors out there, but it is Blizzard, and so they're going to be jumping in. They're going to be doing it right. And they've got a huge base of fans that they can rely on, both to watch and participate. So I think it's going to make an impact.
And I myself, I have a couple points for this as well. The first being, esports are made by the community, and Blizzard said that specifically. They said if the community wants it to be an esport, Blizzard will get behind them. I mean, look what they've done with WSC. They've really put their money behind it and said, we're going to make this a strong esport. Now, the community, I don't think, is as strong as... I don't think the community in World of Warcraft is as strong for esports, and that's why you don't see it as prevalent as, say, StarCraft 2 is. But the community doing it will bring Blizzard in to help out. I'm
going to disagree, but agree to disagree.
I mean, I would say maybe at BlizzCon it was big, but for me at least, I haven't heard as much. Mm-hmm. And I'm an esports fan as well. The second thing, the main reason I think it's going to be more popular than League of Legends, is that 15 to 20 minute game time. You're going to be able to have more teams come into a tournament and play because the games aren't going to be as long. I think it'll make it more exciting because as a player, if you're sitting there watching 50 minutes of a game, you might trail off at the end, be like, oh, who's winning? Where 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to get a nice hit of the game, and then maybe move on to the next game, get a break, and then see the next.
Yeah. It's just so awesome. There's just so much. I can't even mask how incredibly excited I am for this.
And when this does move into the esports realm, we will definitely be covering it on our podcast 100%. So we're going to keep it involved and kind of see where it grows. And that's about it. Do either of you guys have anything else you want to say to kind of wrap up the show?
Uther is awesome. No, I'm kidding. I just want to tell everybody thank you for coming to episode numero uno. We had a couple people pop in and pop out because, time and stuff like that. Timey-wimey. But thank you, everyone, and anyone who listens to this on the download side. We really appreciate it. This is a new thing, and we're diving in head first, feet first, whichever way we go we're diving. So thank you all for the support right at the onset. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It's great to meet everybody in the chat room and get a chance to talk to everybody who's listening as well. Really excited to jump into this, and we're going to see how it progresses, and I'm really, really pumped about this game.
Okay. Thank you. I want to thank everybody as well. And Dave, really quick, if you want to let everybody know how they can get a hold of us.
They can get through to us. Adam's available at at Geek at Random on Twitter. Remedies is available at Remediezy. I'm available at Brillan CTR. That's 2 L's, 2 A's. They can also see all of our work at Blizzmaster and at www.heroesofthenexus.com. If you've got any emails, you can email us at show@heroesofthenexus.com.
And we definitely want to get as many questions as possible. So if you're a new player and you want us to explain something, send it to us. If you think there's something that needs to be in that new player section early on, let us know. We're all about bringing you guys into the show as best we can.
Yeah, and tweet us and email us and follow the sites and anything you guys want to ask us, because we have, kind of every perspective here. We have a new player. We have two people who are just very versed and fluent in MOBAs in general, and then we all play World of Warcraft. We all play, or I know Adam plays Diablo. I love StarCraft and Hearthstone. So we kind of have like every angle here. So you can literally ask us anything. You can ask us about esports. You can ask us about lore. You can anything that you can possibly think of, we can probably answer for you. So make sure you tweet to us and all of that awesome stuff.
And the last Twitter handle that I think I forgot to write down was you can actually tweet directly at the show at the Nexus Podcast. So everyone, follow us, let us know what you're thinking, and have a great day. We'll see you guys around. Bye.
Thanks everybody so much.
And press stop.
Okay. Oh crap! I gotta open that back up. Mine's gonna be like 10 seconds or 2 seconds longer than yours.
That's okay. Okay, we got that. The first one in the bag. What do you guys think in the audience?
Yeah, I want to know what they think. I saw a whole bunches of. That was a good show, so that's good.
Yeah, we got some time in the after show. We're gonna hang out here. If you guys have any questions for us that you want us to answer right now, either about us or about anything, you can kind of let us know.
Yeah, what do you guys want to know?
Ooh, we got 9 out of 10 bongos for a whole show. That's great.
Ooh,
Awesome.
Nagram, are you the one who gives out the bongos during CTR? Is he?
2 hooves. Oh my god, that's awesome. That you guys are so awesome. I figured out how to say your name because that's Lore Walker Tahu, right? Something along those. But his Twitch name is DJ Bill Hype. Yeah? Am I like on the right roll here, or am I way off base? I'm pretty sure I'm on the right roll here.
The Lore Walker show. I'm gonna start listening to it because I just really realized it was there.
Show.
And
yeah,
it's funny because I wanted to do a lore show, and I wasn't going to name it the Lore Walkers. I was going to call it the Law Talkers because it's a podcast. I thought that would fit.
The Lore Talkers. That's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute.
So when I saw that, I'm like, oh man, there's already probably an awesome lore show out there, and I'll have to do a Heroes of the Storm one.
Oh, but Heroes of the Storm is going to be so... Oh my gosh, you guys. Like, I know, like, I'm not saying this to sound, like braggarty or, rub it in your face or anything like that. I don't mean it. But the demo was just so, so amazing. Like, I played it thinking, oh God, it's a MOBA, and I know how I got when I played LOL. And it's just like World of Warcraft. Like most people who play World of Warcraft, they get sucked in. So for the first day of BlizzCon, I was like, no, I'm not going to touch it because I'm going to fall in love with it, and it's going to be LOL for me all over again, where I'm going to play day and night, like all day long. And I know that I'm going to love this. One, because it's all of these characters that I absolutely love everything about, and I know their stories and, like what we already talked about. And then I kind of caved, and I was like, let me try it. You can't not try it when you're at BlizzCon. Mm-hmm. And then I tried it, and I was like, whoa, just whoa is the only word that I can find to even describe how amazing it was. Mm-hmm. It looks so much better than League of Legends. It felt better. And honestly, that's the only thing I could really compare it to, because Dota for Warcraft 3 is so old. Obviously, this is better than it. So the thing now is, I guess, Dota 2 by Valve, and then League of Legends. That's kind of like our competition. I've never somebody mentioned another game earlier, but I've never played it.
Oh,
HON,
Han, Heroes of
HON,
North.
yeah.
It's
Oh, okay.
the big
I've never
difference between
played
I
that.
don't feel that's like it's a MOBA, but it's not. It's more like a
Hmm.
PvP MOBA. Really quick because I've noticed like someone kind of come in and out. So what I would love for if you're viewing this show now, obviously there's no guarantee that as a show this is going to happen, but I would like to do this. If you guys don't mind, please email the show so that way I have your email address or at least a Twitter handle or something. Because what I'm going to do, if for some reason when when the beta starts, if we do get our hands on any betas, I'm going to do it kind of where I'm going to really give people who follow the show and come live kind of a chance at those a little bit more than others. Because I don't like the people that they show up live to win a beta per
Yeah,
se.
and then they never come back to the show and
Right.
stuff.
So if you guys want to email me, so I have information, so that we basically every time you come to the show, you'll basically. I know you're a loyal viewer, so that we at least at first we can kind of help our loyal people. And I didn't want to say that live because I don't want people just starting to come because of that reason. And
Hmm.
that being said, we might not ever get a beta either. So I just want
Yeah.
if it does happen, I want to be able to really give you guys a shot at it for following us from the beginning. I think that's fair to
Yes.
say, right, Brad?
Yeah, no, I think that is awesome.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah,
wish
you're prepared.
I mean, like when for Press Y, the first time we got like a Hearthstone beta key, we didn't announce it. We didn't tweet it that we had it. We just did a random giveaway so that the people who always come to the show had their chance at it. So I am not opposed to that. I think it's great.
Hmm.
I have seen live shows where they had tweeted and Facebooked and put out, and then all of a sudden you have 1,500 viewers and none of them have ever watched your show and most of them won't come back, and yeah, it's kind of unfair to the people who've been watching your show
Yeah.
since day one.
And
So
especially
no,
because
I totally agree.
we're a show for a new game. You
Yeah,
know,
it's not even out yet and
it's not
we're
even out
talking
yet.
about
So
it.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Part of me really wanted to do the show. One, because I'm interested in MOBAs, but two, if I'm helping to push the game for Blizzard, maybe they'll be nice to me and gift me with a beta earlier.
Yeah. Oh, hey, can I show the chat room my shirt? Because I'm really excited. It's not a Heroes of the Storm shirt, which I wish it was, but I have this bad boy on. It's my realm maintenance shirt. So I was really happy when, I don't know if you guys can see it because I'm waiting for the stream to catch up. So I'm just going to hold this here for a second and maybe the stream will catch up eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say it's caught up now.
Okay, cool. um, yeah, so like it was really cool to see Ro stop by earlier. I mean, he couldn't stay for the show, but I'm wearing a Realm Maintenance shirt, Ro, just for you. Maybe when he comes back to watch the stream, the recorded on the stream. Make sure you, Adam, when this goes into excuse me, when this goes into like past recordings on Twitch, make sure you open it up and then go save forever,
Yeah.
so that this doesn't. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't Some people don't know that about Twitch videos, that they'll go away after like 7 days. I
Oh, it's
found out
that
the
short?
hard way. Yeah, I found out the hard way with Press Y. I actually lost some video footage of past episodes
You know what
because I
video?
never
I think
saved them.
you know which one you missed. I think the one that I was on.
Yeah, so we're missing some because
That's
I
hard.
was herp to derp. I'm so sorry. It's show at show notes because I don't have this stuff memorized yet. You are so much faster than I am. Thank
Well,
you.
I should be. I made it. I was so nervous. I was so nervous trying to decide on the website because I'm like, is Heart of the Nexus too close? And then Cade was like, do it, man. You need to Heart of the Nexus, own it. He's like, and he's like, he'll say it just sounds better coming off the tongue, and I'm like, it's true, it does. It's like I almost want to call the game
But it's
Heart
Heroes
of
of
the
the
Nexus.
Nexus.
Oh, sorry.
It's show at Heroes. Don't listen to him. He's fired. At heroesofTheNexus.com.
I'm so
Adam's
sorry.
already fired. I'm taking over this show.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's been a great experience being with you guys on the podcast too.
Oh, thank you,
Adam,
David.
it's been a lot of fun. So
yeah, we're
And
gonna.
you did great. We just popped David's podcasting cherry, I think.
Yes.
Is this your
Yeah.
first time
this
ever?
was my first time. So I'm glad to get it out of the way. So looking forward to week 2.
Hmm. Yeah, no, yeah,
Yay.
and we didn't hit everything that was announced, but I did that on
Obviously
purpose
not. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I really thought, now that I've gone, at first I was like, oh, we'll probably be able to do a half hour, 40 minutes, and like this thing turned into an hour in like no time. I'm
I'm so
like,
sorry I
no,
talked. I know.
that's great. I feel like we're gonna have a lot to talk about. We have 3 other questions that are out there that we'll be able to answer next week. So if the more questions we have, the more show we can do, and I'm excited about that.
Hmm. Did I
So
prove my worth as a gamer? Like, am I officially accepted as a really cool gamer? Chat room co-hosts.
I was gonna say that I'm gonna leave that
I
one up
was really
to
worried that people are like,
the chat room.
Rem talking about MOBAs. Like, I was really worried that people would think that I'm just, haha. I don't know. Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you all for coming to the show.
Yeah, we're
This
gonna
was so
close this down because I have some editing to do because I want to get it up and running, and I have to do all the iTunes stuff. So, you guys, we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Bye, everybody. We
Bye,
love you.
everybody.
Have a
See
good
you
week,
next
and we'll
week.
see you next week. Or some of you, I'm sure I'll see tomorrow. But bye,
All right.
everybody.